The U.S. market today, kind of mixed. I think the U.S. market overall is waiting for something. Okay, you know what that is? The Fed decision, which really is not going to be, it's not going to be a big surprise, considering we've been watching this. The probability for the FOMC meeting is 97% for 25 basis point cut. So there's no surprise. It's not like all of a sudden Powell's going to say, "Well, I'm not going to cut." You know, it's 97% chance that he's going to cut the Fed fund rate. So I don't know why Wall Street would be fearful unless Powell says something like, "Well, that's it. You know, in January I'm not going to cut anymore." Based on the numbers that we're seeing, he kind of has to. The inflation, you know, the PCE number that we just got last week showed that inflation ticked upwards unexpectedly. So, I mean, he still has to be aggressive. So, I don't know. Today, tomorrow, the FOMC meeting's Wednesday. So, we got a couple days. I don't know if Wall Street's going to be more stagnant, like a little bit more careful up until then. I don't know, but there should be zero surprises leading up to it, and even at the meeting or the press conference, I should say. I just don't see anything that should upset this. But something else that came out really, really nice for Bitcoin and Saylor, and that's this: Microstrategy is joining the Nasdaq 100. And because of it, MicroStrategy will be put in the infamous QQQ ETF, which has been around forever. One of the biggest ETFs out there. It's kind of known as a tech ETF. I even remember when I was first getting started back in the .com days, you know, I put money in QQQ. If you didn't know what to put money in, still today, if you wanted just some tech exposure, QQQ is kind of known as that, the ETF that you put money in for tech exposure. And now, because MicroStrategy is part of that, basically, you're going to have billions of people and billions of dollars, not billions of people, billions of dollars get exposure to Bitcoin. And they might not even know it. Most people won't even know MicroStrategy is part of the QQQ now going forward. But yeah, they're going to have a little bit, just a little sliver of exposure to Bitcoin going forward. That's absolutely fantastic, right? That's what Saylor has done for his company. By implementing Bitcoin strategy, you know, back in the .com days and back, you know, in 2021 and all these days, I don't think there was ever any thought about MicroStrategy being added to Nasdaq 100 and getting added to QQQ, but it has happened. So pretty darn good. And Bitcoin just shot up right there to 105. Looking pretty good. We're starting out pretty good. And, of course, Saylor couldn't hold his excitement any longer. He hinted yesterday that he's going to make another big purchase, and he did. Purchase another 15,000 Bitcoin. It's like pocket change to this guy. Another $1.5 billion. He's just raising money like it's nothing. People are just throwing money at him like it's really like it's nothing. Oh, by the way, MicroStrategy is up 3% today, up to 421. That's awesome. But he purchased at an average price of 100,000, which he already made 5% considering Bitcoin is at 105,000. So now he holds 439,000 Bitcoin. Average price is 61,700. That's pretty good. That's pretty darn good. Him and Larry Fink just neck and neck, you know, at acquiring Bitcoin at this point. It's just nonstop. And that's fantastic. Short term. short-term, fantastic. Long-term, having such large percentages of Bitcoin being held by large entities, maybe not so good. Even arguably Saylor holding so much is not so good. But short-term, it's definitely good. Causing a supply shock, that's what we want. Oh, by the way, I have a really cool story. And this is one that maybe applies to some of you guys before I move on. So I had dinner with my mom yesterday, and she got into Bitcoin right around, well, she got into Bitcoin when I came back into Bitcoin right around 2017. Because I first got into Bitcoin around 2013. And then I exited 2014 because I got scared out. And then I came back into Bitcoin around 2017 when Bitcoin hit around $1,000 again. So that's when I came back in. And then around that time, I told my mom about it. I'm like, hey, you know what? I made a mistake. I'm going to get back into Bitcoin. This is something that you should get into. So at the time, I had $3,000. I used $3,000 to buy 3 Bitcoin. And then my mom also at the time, she had like a few grand and she bought 2 Bitcoin. I didn't know this, but she told like a lot of her friends to get into Bitcoin. And of course, at that time, like literally no one listened. But she told me today that she didn't even know one of her friends actually listened. And she didn't know this because the friend never told her. So the friend had 2 grand and somehow went into Coinbase, spent that 2 grand on Bitcoin. And for 7 years, she did not think about it. She totally forgot about it. She totally forgot she bought Bitcoin. So until recently, she didn't know about it. She heard that Bitcoin hit $100,000. So she managed to like log in. She had to call and like provide her ID and all that stuff because she totally forgot everything, like her ID and all that stuff. She did KYC and stuff like that. She logged in and she found out she had a whole Bitcoin in her account. So she turned $2,000 into now $105,000 within 7 years just by leaving it there. So that's an awesome story. So now she's like going nuts because she totally forgot about it, turned $2,000 into $105,000 within 7 years, and now she doesn't know what to do with it. She's gonna go buy an apartment or something with it. But that's a really cool story. She just told me that yesterday, and even my mom couldn't believe it because like literally, you know, even now you tell people to go buy Bitcoin, no one ever listens, right? She told all her friends. She had no clue that any of her friends actually listened. So that's really, really cool. Anyways, so cool story to let you guys know that some people actually do listen and do, you know, take charge and actually take action. And, you know, some people do get rewarded for it.